Hello, friends and weirdos. Welcome to our podcast, Should I Watch That? I am Janet.
And I am Rachel, the other
And
one.
Rachel is the weirder one out of the two of us.
That is I was going to say that.
I am completely normal.
No, you're not.
By all accounts. No, I'm not. Okay.
We're both weird, but
We're both weird, if you haven't figured it out already.
Mm-hmm.
So our episode this week is taking a little bit more serious turn. We're going to be reviewing a documentary called Stalking Samantha, 13 Years of Terror. This is on Hulu, came out in 2025. And Rachel, do you want to kind of maybe summarize a little bit what we're going to talk about here?
I do. This is a 3-part true crime docuseries. Try to say that 3 times fast. It premiered in August 2025, and it's about what happened to Samantha Stites and just a little bit of the backstory. And before, honestly, we get into the whole story, Janet and I do want to say, first of all, spoiler alert.
Warning.
We can't really talk about this and do it any justice without spoiling the ending, air quotes, but also trigger warning. There's some bad things that happened to this unfortunate lady, and we just want to make sure that everyone takes care of themselves. We are going to include some resources at the end of the episode and in the show notes. So please make sure that if you're experiencing anything like this, that you are looking at those resources and getting help if you need it.
Exactly.
All right. So into the story. So it started in 2011. Samantha was a college freshman in Michigan, and she met this guy randomly through like a group of friends or like at a party or whatever, named Christopher. And I want that to be the only time we say his name.
And I think referring to him as a human being is a little generous.
Yes.
So we shall never speak his name again in this podcast because he does not deserve any attention for what he did.
Correct. So she randomly met him. She was kind to him, as people are to other people, usually. And he took it to another level. He started following her. She would see him everywhere, at work, at the gym, grocery stores, events, really anywhere she was, he would just magically show up. And I think it's worth saying that he was like a little older than her, like a few years older. So I don't remember, and it's not in my notes, if he was also in college or if he was just kind of local to the college and was like friends of hers. But
yeah, because it was some kind of like a Christian student group. So maybe he was part of that group,
right.
Or, part of the college. But yeah, I can't remember offhand why he was there.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is that, again, this is a Christian group, and he kind of used that. I feel like in his texting and the messages he sent her, that God wants us to be together, or I've prayed about this, and you and I are supposed to be together. And it wasn't like he just showed up at the gym and he was like, "Hey, girl, what up?" It was more of a, I'm here because you're here, because you and I are supposed to be together, and we just need to talk about that so you understand, which is a whole different level of wackadoodle.
Right.
And
well, Because she made it clear from the very beginning, as soon as he started flirting with her or asking her out, she very much was like, no,
Mhm.
no, I am not interested in you in that way. We have mutual friends and we will be seeing each other, but that's it.
And no
So
means no.
no is the end of a sentence. So, he didn't frankly give a shit. He continued on and on and on, and it was wild, how long it went on for. So, and as Janet said, he was not just showing up. He was like there to make sure she saw him there,
Mhm.
to know that he knew where she was at all times.
Yes.
And come to find out, he had put like trackers on her car and
Mhm.
on like her friends' cars. He like
Mhm.
bought these GPS trackers off Amazon. So he was literally stalking her and her friends' locations. So finally, after, let's see, it started in 2011 and in 2014, so 3 years, she finally did something about it. Her friends in this documentary were like begging her to do something about it. They were like warning her that this is wild. And of course, she, as anyone would do, tried to kind of brush it off or make excuses because you don't want to think that about someone. You don't
Well,
want to
and
think that they
mhm.
have these horrible intentions.
Well, and I feel like there's part of her, I guess, in the same vein that, like, maybe she wanted to see the good in him, because she
Mhm.
comes across as a person who, maybe has Christian beliefs and wants to do good and be good and, maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt, like, well, he's saying these things, but
Right.
he would never hurt me or he would never do anything bad. I told him no, so everything's going to be fine.
Yes.
That's sort of the feeling I got from her a little bit in the documentary.
Yeah, she was definitely minimizing the severity of
Hmm.
his behavior for sure. Which, I mean, I've done that before too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of all do that. We don't jump to the worst possible scenario at first. But I mean, 3 years is a long time to wait for him to be doing these things. So in 2014, she finally took evidence to a court and they granted her a 6-year protective order or restraining order, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
And according to the folks in the documentary, they made it seem like that was a really big deal to have one issued for that long.
Hmm.
So they were pretty much like the judge thought that this guy was bonkers, like recognized that what he was doing was really bad to issue a protective order for that long. So I thought that that was an interesting point. Like,
Well, and I guess to jump ahead a little bit, we find out later in the story
mm-hmm,
that he had been arrested for similar activities with another woman with
mm-hmm,
assault. And I'm
stalking.
yeah, and I feel like maybe the judge checked his criminal record and looked into things and thought, we need to do something about this more than just a couple of months or something. I don't know. And having never had to get a protective order, I don't know the usual time frame. I'm sure it depends on the behavior of the person you're
Right.
trying to protect yourself from. But
See, I didn't get the impression that they looked at his criminal background at all.
well, if the, like
That's what,
maybe if the first judge did, I don't think they told Samantha. But
yeah.
then to ask for a 6-year makes me think that they knew more about him than they were letting on. But if the judge knew more about him, you feel like he would have told her. I'm not sure how that works.
I thought that I just thought Samantha provided so much evidence about his
Mhm.
stalking behavior that they were like,
Oh,
holy shit. That's
we
how
need to
I took it.
okay. Well, that
Because
might be it.
they didn't even bring up the other woman until like the very end of the documentary and kind
Mhm.
of almost like an afterthought, like, oh yeah. And then after he did what he did at the
Right.
end, they were like, oh, by the way, he's done this before.
Maybe we should have,
S-
I don't know, done a background check on him. I don't know. Whatever.
Maybe we should
Uh,
have, and I feel like that could be one of the gaps in the criminal justice system is they don't always look like I listen, I'm a true crime kind of girl, all right? I watch
yes.
a lot of it, and it
Thank you.
seems
Yeah.
like there's a lot of disconnect between like jurisdictions and states and like there seems to be a lapse in a lot of information gathering between different agencies and things. So, I feel like that's something that they could really do better on.
Well, and one of the reasons they never caught the Zodiac killer because, of course, it was like in
Right?
the 60s maybe, but there was no communication and he
Mhm.
was hopping from here to there to wherever and none of the different counties and cities weren't communicating. But I mean, this was 2014. There
Right.
should be no issue with communication at this point. Now, I don't know if a judge who grants a protection order can share the person's criminal background with the person being protected.
I'll have to go back to my law books from
I know.
the time I went to law school. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. And listen, our dear listeners, we are not legal experts whatsoever.
No,
We
we're
are
not.
just making shit up based on what we hear and see and talk about. So, if you have more insight into that part of the legal system, please share with us, email
Mhm.
us, or whatever. But the thing that was wild to me was, well, all of it was wild. Okay. I walked away from this documentary being like, my God,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not being nice
Yeah.
to anyone ever again. But s- these things happen to people that aren't nice to people. So, it is what it is. Anyways,
Mhm.
so the day that the protection order ended, so Samantha got this protective order. She went about her life. For 6 years, she got to live a normal life.
And the monster was nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be
Right.
seen. No
Nowhere to be,
communication.
nothing.
Right.
And then the day it ended, so it would have been 2020 that it ended.
Mhm.
The day it ended, she saw him.
Mhm.
I
He had
think,
literally been spending those 6 years preparing.
correct.
Just
Which,
blows my
when,
mind.
and I'm trying to remember the exact, I think the scene where she very first sees him after the protective order ends, she was like in the car with someone else and
Mhm.
saw him on a motorcycle behind them in the car. Right?
Mhm.
Wasn't
I
that
think
when she
so.
first saw him?
I think
And she
so.
told the person driving, like, pull over. I know who this is. And confronts him and is like, piece of shit, because he doesn't have a name. What are you doing here? Because she had like moved back to her hometown. She was like
Right.
in another state, like far
Mhm.
away from where she had met this man. Nowhere near where he was from, I don't think. Um, And he was like, "Oh, I moved here. I got a job here," or whatever. And I was like, "Oh my God." So he moved to where she was living. He stayed out of her way until the day that protective order ended and was like, "I just want to talk to you." And she was like, "Absolutely not."
And and it just makes me insane that there are people who are be like, "Well, it's legal now for him to show up because the protective order's over." Oh my god. Like,
Yes.
legally, yes, and I hate to say whatever to the legal system, but the fact that he knew where she was meant that he had kept up with her somehow or another,
Right.
which sort of feels like it should violate the protective order. Anyway, I
Right.
just like to the day he shows up.
To
And
the
like
day. Oh my God.
nothing good is good. It's only going to get worse.
And
If
it
he shows
did.
up nothing's going to get better.
Correct. And it did. And he started to infiltrate her life again.
Mhm.
She was in like an adult soccer league and he just showed up and started playing soccer on a team
Eh,
against her, and then would be really weird during the games and like
in her
would
gym, like
show
he started
would
working out at her gym.
yes. Yes. And a point that they made in the documentary, like apparently back when she very first met him, and he was like kind of overweight, like just this not in
Mhm.
shape guy, whatever. And when she saw him again in 2020, he was like really fit and like muscular.
Mhm.
And I can't remember who said it in the documentary, but somebody said like he was training for something,
Mhm. It,
which is so scary. It makes me want to barf literally right now
but
because
it's true.
it's yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, he was prepared. He spent those 6 years
Years
preparing for what he was going to do. And then
and
he took another two
planning.
years because he
Mhm.
didn't, it ended in 2020. And it wasn't until October of 2022 that he made his big move.
Yes.
And it
And
was like,
he was plotting and planning and
he
preparing, like how
was
many peas? Like it just like
so gross.
if I go overseas, I'm packing my bag the night before. This guy spent 6 years like
Yeah.
figuring out how to do what he was going to do, and that
Oh,
it speaks to his level of instability on so many levels to me.
and yes. So I have a lot of questions. Like, how did no one in his life or in his orbit catch on to this?
Well, I remember they interviewed
Some
s-
of his
uh,
friends.
a man who said he was his best friend or something, and his attitude was like, "Yeah, he's had a thing for her as long as I can remember." What?
Yeah.
Uh, well,
He
did you
was
try to talk to him about this?
right.
Like, it's not a joke,
And that
and
friend brought up like, "Oh, and there was one girl before her."
mhm,
Like so
mhm.
flippant about it. I was like, "Sir, excuse me?
Well,
You know
and
what this man did, right?"
they don't go into depth about that part of it. So who knows?
Mhm.
Maybe the monster's obsession, he downplayed it around people who knew him to avoid that kind of thing. Like, who knows? Maybe he was just like, yeah, I really like this girl. And maybe he didn't even tell his family about the order of protection. I don't know. There's a lot
I
of
don't know either.
unknowns about his activities and his relationships and everything in this
That's
documentary.
true. That's very true.
But then again, he's a
So
monster, so do we care? No, we don't.
he is a monster. And all of this to say, nearly 2 years after this order of protection ended, she tried to go back and get another one.
Hmm.
And they were like, oh, there's not enough evidence, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think I'm remembering correctly, but something like they had to notify him or something
Hmm.
because they were going to start an investigation maybe before they issued an order. So that was why he like sped up his timeline. And then in October of 2022, he broke into her house, abducted her.
I know.
He abducted her and he took her. Let's talk about the place that he prepared.
Yes. So I I was telling Ryan about this, and his first thing. So fucker had a storage unit. Okay,
Two storage units
two
side by
storage
side.
units that he rented just for this kidnapping and imprisonment
Yes.
purpose. And we're not talking like he went to like storeyourboxes.com. and had just a metal. No, no, no. A fucker went to like Home Depot or Lowe's or something. He bought soundproofing materials, plywood. Like he bought
Yeah.
all these things
Yep.
to insulate and soundproof the bunker to protect himself from whatever screaming or noises or whatever she made. Like,
Yes.
again, we're back to the planning and the prepping. And
He.
we
Uh,
we we find out later, like, there are video cameras at the storage unit that
yes.
show him carrying this stuff in there and the walls and the insulation and doing all of this stuff in preparation.
Yes.
So, not that smart, I'm going to say, if you're not noticing the cameras. But anyway,
He didn't care about the cameras.
I guess he didn't care.
I don't think he cared at all about the cameras. I think he had originally planned to kill her. I think he expected her to not be alive at the end of it.
Really?
That's my opinion. Because I think they said he spent over $5,000 buying materials
Mm.
to outfit this storage unit into a soundproof bunker. So he had the two storage units beside each other. The one storage unit was mostly empty, and that was for him to pull his car or her car into. The other unit next to it was where he built the bunker. And they showed it on the documentary, and it was terrifying. So it was basically like a plywood wall. You open up the storage unit wall, then there's a plywood wall with a door, and there's a lock on the outside. You open this door. It's thick because he had put soundproofing in there. There's a lock on the inside, so you can lock it both ways. Then there's a second door inside that first door of the bunker. And in there was like a mattress and like a bucket for pooping and peeing and like a few supplies.
And I feel like, if I remember correctly, there were like rings or something in, like, to be chained or handcuffed or something.
Yes, he had
So,
anchored rings into the wall to like detain her.
yes.
Very gross. Very
And
like
and
it makes me boil with rage.
yes. Like, the anger at this fucker.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's so unstable that, like, the first part of the time, the 14 to 15 hours she is in this bunker with him, he's trying to talk to her about how, again, they're supposed to be together, and he just all this time he just wanted to talk to her. And if
Yeah.
she had just talked to him, and I'm like, oh my God, we've talked before, and it didn't make a difference. We talked 8 years ago, and I still don't love you. What do you think is going to change at this point?
Yes.
But
And that's where it was never about talking. Clearly, he was just saying that to her. But yeah, Samantha spent 14 to 15 hours in this bunker, and she is so smart, first of all.
Yes.
She talked to him, and she persuaded him to let her go. She promised that she would not tell anybody. And that's when he said, the only way I will let you go is if I can have sex with you. And I feel so bad for this woman. Like, she knew that was the only way to save her life. So she was hoping it would be quick. And I remember her saying, like, he said to me before he did anything to me that it would not be quick because he masturbates like 12 to 20 times a day.
Yes. Is that part of the preparation? Even so, once he was finally with her, it wouldn't be quick. And
I don't
So
know. I
I
feel
I
nauseous right now just thinking about it. Like,
I kn
it was so my heart went out to her. Like, that
horrific.
poor girl, what she endured. And, like, she said it just went on and on and on and on and on. But finally, he did. He let her go. He took her out. He dropped her at home and she, like, immediately ran to her neighbor and was like, "Help me." And thank heavens for her neighbor.
Well,
And she
and
did.
this is and while she was imprisoned and he was talking to her, that's like he showed her the app on his phone where he had been tracking her car and her friends' cars,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
which is why he would be every time she went to a restaurant, he was there or something because he was tracking. And like it's like he suddenly just trusted her completely. And he's like, "Yes, I've been tracking you. Okay, well, as long as you're not going to tell the police, I'll let you go. Okay, love you, bye." Like his mindset was so out in left field. And
Well,
eh, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. No, I think that just shows the level of his disconnect from reality.
Mhm.
That he believed her
Yes.
just is another disconnect from reality. That he thought he had any chance of a relationship with her after everything
Mhm.
was another disconnect from reality, right? I'm
Complete.
sure he I'm sure in his mind he was like, I'm going to let her go home and she's going to call me tomorrow and I'm going to come over and we're going to have sex again and then she's going to be my girlfriend and then we're going to get married and then we're going to have babies. I
Probably. I really
that's
think that's where he
probably
was. Yeah.
that's where he was. And I really think if she would have like physically tried to fight him in that room, I think he would have killed
Mhm.
her. I
I
think he was prepared to
mhm.
kill her.
I Yeah, there was too much preparation for him to just want to have sex with her and take her home. Um,
Yes.
and
Or
I think yeah, if she had fought, if she had been kicking and screaming and attacking him and everything, I think it would have been one of those situations where he would have been like, "Don't make me have to kill you." And then he kills her and he's like, "It's your fault that you're dead. I had to kill you because you weren't cooperating." I think like that's where his mind would have been.
yes.
And she, despite what she suffered, she saved her own life by being rational.
Mhm.
And I, coming from a woman who is, occasionally rational about things, I
Mostly.
am mostly rational. I don't know what I would have done. I always, you're talking about true crime, and I watch Law and Order SVU every episode, every season that's ever been,
Mhm.
and you always, and I always tell people like when I watch or listen to true crime, it's an education, you know,
100%.
and so when that black panel van pulls up and two masked men grab me from off the street and throw me in the back and take off,
Mhm.
okay, so I'm a little prepared because I've seen it happen a few times. Um, but you always think, what would you do in that situation? And
Mhm.
it's one thing just to be bopped over the head and you know in a dark alley or something, but the premeditation
Yes.
just took it to a whole different level for me. And
Well, and I
yeah.
think she said that too. She was like, I knew him enough to know that being aggressive would not work.
Mhm.
So I think that was also an interesting kind of nuance. Like, and you know what? There are situations where you have to fight and scream and kick and do whatever
Mhm.
you can to survive. But, she figured out how to get out of there. And, like, my God, I
Like
just,
the
to your point, like, nobody knows what they would do.
No.
Nobody knows because unless you're in that situation, there's the fight, flight, freeze. Like, you never know.
You don't know. And I just having never been in a situation like that myself, and talking to other people who either have or just, in conversations like this, what would you do if? It's so easy to say, well, that would never happen to me because, or I would have never let him do that to me because, and I'm like, you're full of shit. You have no idea.
You never
Like,
know. Yeah.
unless it happened to you yesterday and you reacted as you had planned for the past 5 years or something, like, you don't
Yeah.
know.
You do
And
not know.
this woman, her strength and just her rational attitude is overwhelmingly impressive.
Yeah. I mean,
As
she
yeah.
knew she had to survive. She wanted to survive.
And so her neighbor takes her to the hospital and they do a rape
Mm-hmm.
kit. And one of the beautiful things for me was the police officer, the detective who showed up to take
Mm-hmm.
her statement. Like, he knew immediately that she was telling the truth,
Yes.
that everything she was telling him actually happened. I guess that's the same as telling the truth, Janet. Anyway, um, but he,
Well,
but, but he was her advocate from the very beginning.
mm-hmm.
And also with true crime and TV, like, you see and you hear so much about, well, little lady, your story seems to be too good. Are you sure that's what really happened? At which point you, like, stab someone in the face and try for another detective who might listen to you. The fact that he was so supportive and he advocated for her and believed her, it just warmed the cockles of my heart.
Yes, this one time.
This one time.
Well, because, statistically, law enforcement is not good at advocating for victims, especially female victims of violence and sexual
Mhm.
violence and these kinds of things, right? Most of the time, victims are not believed. That's why a lot of these crimes are so underreported, yada, yada,
Exactly.
yada. So, unfortunately, him being the way that he was the exception and not necessarily the rule for the.
Which
So
warms
you're right.
warms my
It
heart and makes me angry at the same time. Yeah. So
so
many
Janet, you
emotions,
better
Rachel.
Janet, you better say something different right now. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was glad. I'm glad that she got justice because that man, piece of shit, he pled guilty to kidnapping, torture, and aggravated stalking, and he was sentenced to 40 to 60 years in prison with, if he ever is released and doesn't die in prison, hopefully he will,
Hopefully he
he
will.
will have to have a lifetime GPS monitoring, which, I mean, he could potentially take off. Anyways, I don't think he'll ever
Mhm.
get out of prison. Hopefully he'll die there.
Mhm.
Maybe those things will take care of themselves, you know what I'm saying? Prison justice and whatnot.
Yep.
But
All in favor? So, okay.
what I
Ca
thought was interesting before you
Mhm.
go, Janet,
Yeah, yes, please go.
when they talked about him pleading guilty, they made it a point, and he made it a point to not admit that he raped her.
Oh,
He
yes.
was adamant that they had consensual sex. Even though he had imprisoned her in a bunker of his own making.
After having stalked her since 2011.
That I
And
Go ahead.
she ended up agreeing with her attorney to take rape off the table because they knew it would be hard to get him convicted because
Well,
of, yeah,
he would not plead guilty to that, so he
right,
was willing to go to trial,
right,
and she didn't want to go through all that,
right.
which I get.
And
But
it's like it's
I was like,
justice, but
you
it's,
fucker.
oh, I know.
I mean, she got more justice than a
A
lot of
lot of
people
people,
get.
yeah.
And now she works, let's see. So she is a vocal advocate for victims of stalking and sexual violence, and she co-founded Beekeepers Advocacy. advocacy. Gosh, I can't talk. Which aims to support survivors and pushes for systemic change.
Go her.
So thank the heavens for her.
So one thing that so many things that bother me. One of the things that bothers me the most, and I want to be angry at the judge, but he passed down a pretty good sentence, so I can't be too angry at him. I'm on the fence. But the same judge who denied her order of protection
Mm-hmm.
is the judge who presided over sentencing.
That's right. I
And
forgot that.
I hope every night before he goes to bed, he has a cringe, sadness, overwhelming, despairing moment where he thinks could have been the person who prevented this.
Right.
Now, if this guy had he was going to do it, he was going to do it. I
That's
mean,
true.
I mean, what are they going to do? Add defying an order of protection to the list of charges for 40 to 61 years or something. But the fact that he obeyed the protection order for 6
The first
years,
time.
yeah, it makes me feel like that would have gotten his attention again. But then
Maybe.
after it was done, would he have just come back and done I don't know.
I don't know.
I
It's hard to
I
say.
just feel like, ugh, you have that moment where it's like, what if I had just listened to her? Anyway,
Yeah.
what if?
No, I mean, and that is a good point, but we can do what ifs all day long, right? I mean,
Mhm.
what if she never met him? That would be the best what if.
Right, exactly. What if she never went to that little support group that night? Never.
Yes, gosh.
Like, what if he had been hit by a bus on the way to the support group and she never knew him? I don't know. It could have
What if
happened.
his mother aborted him instead of giving birth to? Oh, yes, I said that.
Ooh,
Sorry,
you said
everyone.
it. You said it.
I'm very angry about him. He's a very
I am.
bad human being.
He's a monster. Absolute monster.
S-
Um,
So,
whoops.
on a serious note, we did want
Mhm.
to give some statistics about stalking and the prevalence and reporting. Janet, I've got a couple statistics. I know you do too. You want to go first?
Sure. And I had no idea, having never experienced this. An estimated 13.5 million people are stalked just in the US alone every year. And it it can be any demographic profile who could be a victim, but most stalking victims are female. And when I say most, that's like 78%.
Yes.
And most perpetrators, 87% of perpetrators are male, which
And
isn't really
most,
a surprise. Yeah.
no, unfortunately. And most victims know they're stalkers, and the more prevalent technology or the more advanced technology is getting, the more stalkers are using that to their advantage. Unfortunately, for victims, and the government is not able to keep up with advancing technology and legislation. And we're seeing that play out in lots of ways across the interwebs and that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. But my goodness, it's bad. I mean, it's
Well, and another statistic, the average length of time that victims experience the stalking is 1 to 2 years. But like 11% of those victims are stalked for more than 5 years.
God, it's
So it's
so wild.
not just some, asshole from a dating app who, you know, keeps texting you for a couple of days and then gives up. I mean, it's years of someone's life, their job, their
Hmm.
school, their friends, church, the gym, like whatever,
Yep.
you lose part of your life. And then I would think that I would be paranoid the rest of my life and never talk to anyone or look at anyone and hide in my house. I don't know.
Yes, obviously.
Obviously.
Um, and I thought, I mean, kind of similar to other violence and reporting, like gender violence and things, it's pretty underreported. Only about 29% of stalking victims report their experiences to law enforcement.
And and kind of along with that, I found just some things that like stalking tactics or behaviors, and it makes me wonder if people maybe don't completely understand what's happening to them. If they're just like, "Ugh, this guy won't leave me alone. He's so irritating or such an idiot or something." But
Yeah.
like these behaviors can include anything from texting, emailing, sending snail mail, leaving you gifts, not GIFs, like gifts, but like a present on your front porch.
Present, yes. Good one.
Or,
Oh my God.
but like showing up places, waiting for you, like when they know you're getting off work, they're waiting for you,
Mm-hmm.
or even spying on you somehow. Any kind of unwanted communication, being followed, watched, phone calls, social
Yep.
media messages. Um, again, just showing at places where they shouldn't be on a
Yep.
regular basis. And sometimes they even use weapons or they threaten their victims.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just one thing. I mean, there's so many different ways that this happens.
Right.
And I think it's a really good idea to be aware, especially now when it's not just, somebody's calling you from a rotary phone or something. It's the 50 different ways someone could get in touch with you through social media. So,
Correct. There's more variety of ways to
yes.
stalk. And as we saw in the documentary, you can order some of this shit off Amazon and have it at your
Yeah.
doorstep and pop
Yeah.
it on somebody's car. And I am not advocating for anyone to do that, to go stalk somebody. I'm just saying,
Please don't.
check your car. Yeah. If
But yeah.
if you're noticing somebody like showing up places that you are, go check your car. Go take it to the police station and say, "Hey, check my car for a
hmm
device."
Well,
You can do things like that. So,
even one of Samantha's friends suggested that. And she
yeah.
was like, "No, he would never do that." And they even searched her car, but maybe didn't know what they were looking for or didn't search well enough, but they didn't find anything.
Oh, that's right. Not
But
the
the
first time they
police,
looked.
right, but the police found it immediately. Um,
After she was kidnapped, they found
yeah,
everything, right?
great timing.
I know.
Thanks.
Phew.
Um, so after all this, I guess just briefly about the actual documentary itself. I mean, I think it presented well. Like, they talked to her, they talked to friends. There
Yes.
was like actual footage
Oh
of
my
like
gosh.
him at the storage facility and all these different things. And there was footage, I think, from the trial, like with the judge's final decision or something, maybe, or they talked to the
Mm-hmm.
judge who made the sentencing. Anyway, I thought the documentary was made well, and
Yes.
this that was no, this young lady comes across, just she's got her shit together. I mean, after everything she went through to be able to do what she did and not break down in tears and run hide in a closet somewhere. Oh my God, that would have been me. Like 10 minutes into shooting, I would be like, "Excuse me," and I would go hide and never come back out. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes, unfortunately. And there are a lot of lifetime health consequences for being the victim of these types of
Mhm.
trauma. I mean, not only are mental health issues, but physical issues. I mean, because you are more stressed, like it increases your likelihood of getting, lifelong diseases like heart disease, high blood
Mhm.
pressure, because your cortisol levels are constantly high.
And the
So
like, there's gotta be anxiety, like,
yes,
I
absolutely.
just waiting on it to happen again or waiting on the phone call that he escaped from prison or something. Like, I know it's not
Oh
a
my God.
movie, but I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And that's consequences she'll be dealing with for the rest of her life. So, My heart goes out to her and to anyone that's experiencing any issues of any sort related to, um, you know, your life that's your without your consent. I'm trying
Exactly.
to get my words here. And we do have, like I said, we have resources listed in the show notes, like the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE. There's also RAIN, the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network at 1-800-656-HOPE. There's also a Stalking Prevention Awareness and Resource Center, and that's at stalkingawareness.org. So there's a ton of resources. So make sure that you are getting help and receiving the resources that you need if you find yourself in any of these type of situations. We'll also include some international resources. I know we've got some international folks now that listen to us. Yay.
Grazie.
Yes, thank you. And if you're in immediate danger in the United States, dial 911 for sure, or whatever your local emergency number is. But, I think the moral of the story of this documentary that was very well made, I agree with Janet, is just to not take behavior like this too lightly, to be able to recognize the warning signs and advocate for yourself and your safety and do the things legally that you would need to do to make sure that it doesn't escalate to the point that it did in this scenario. So, and not to say she did anything wrong. I'm just saying that she did take steps and it still escalated. What could have, if our legal system had some changes, what could have been different in her situation and other people's situations? So that was kind of my point in saying that. So,
Yeah. Well, and the only other thing I would add to that is, like, don't worry about being embarrassed or, somebody picking on you. Stand up for yourself. And if you're worried, do something about it. If you think, it's no big deal, but the people who are closest to you in your life, who love you, are telling you it's a problem, listen to them and take some action, because not everybody will always be there for you and advocate for you and take care of you. You have to do it for yourself sometimes.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So all of that being said, Rachel,
yes.
should I watch that?
Yes. Janet, should you watch that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Unless you have experienced something similar and hearing
And it
it
could be
from somebody
triggering.
else will be too much for you emotionally, then don't do it to yourself. Otherwise,
Agreed.
I highly recommend. Highly recommend.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Well, thank you everyone for
Whew.
listening. Yeah, that was a heavy one.
We're usually a lot funnier and goofier than that, but it didn't deserve funny and goofy.
Exactly. We wanted to give this topic the respect that it does deserve. So
exactly.
But come back next time and we will talk about something else and maybe be funnier or something.
Is that even possible? I don't know.
Oh,
yeah. All right. Well, hang out on your sofa, get some popcorn, watch a documentary, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Bye.
Bye. This episode was produced by Ryan Wyrick.
Follow us on Instagram at Should I Watch That 25 and on Facebook at Should I Watch That.
Email us at shouldiwatchthat25@gmail.com.
Like, follow, and review wherever you listen to us.
Or wherever you cast your pods. Thanks.
Thank you.